You know, the last time I was in this space, actually, was a few weeks after the storm, when I was part of, in fact, Clancy Dubose in the audience. I don't recall if he came to this space, but I asked him to get involved also with the tour that we gave to several philanthropic organizations. I think Clancy guided them in one of the buses we took around Lakeview, and as I say, this is just a few weeks after the storm. So this has some real meaning to me, and thank you very much for having me. I'm also a little bit pleasantly surprised by what looks like the average age of the people in the audience, so that means there's hope for me yet. I thought you'd all be about 19. In fact, the idea that I have a website is laughable, but there's a template for it. If you belong to the Authors Guild, you just fill in the blanks, and they take care of everything else. And in fact, what I'm going to tell you, probably you've already heard, but I really want this to be a conversation, primarily here to do a Q&A, I think. If not, I mean, it's basically what I think the country needs to know about this area is the geological facts. If they know the geological facts, then it is not conceivable to me that they will not overwhelmingly support a significant investment in this area. And we have coming up the possibility, or at least a plan for it coming up, to provide major hurricane protection. Nobody who understands the hurricanes likes the word Category 5, but it is sort of a layman's just quick term to use. Cat 5 is kind of bad, but so I'll use that term myself, Category 5 protection. Now the price tag for that is going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of $100 billion. So even though Louisiana offshore oil production is going to pay a significant chunk of that eventually when we ever get that money starting to flow, that still leaves a very large investment we're going to need from the federal government. And again, if the facts are known, I believe we will get the money. But people need to know the facts. And I've written several op-eds on this stuff, all of them slightly different. I do have that website at johnmbarry.com. And if you click on the Katrina page, I sort of combined several op-eds, so that information is available to you, and I may end up posting documentation for all of that. But the most important thing you need to understand about this area is mud, sediment. You got to start with the fact that the Gulf of Mexico at one time went up to Rush Limbaugh's hometown, Cape Girardeau, Missouri. All the land from Cape Girardeau south to the present mouth of the river, west to the state of Texas, east into Mississippi, was made by the deposit of sediment of the Mississippi River. Now, I am sure that everybody in this conference knows, let me move this. Gotta put this down somewhere. Okay. Everyone in this conference knows that we have lost roughly 2,000 square miles of land over time. Louisiana's coastline has melted into the ocean. Now, people think it's not all wetlands. A lot of that land was at one time just as solid as the main street of Cape Girardeau, Missouri, once you step on the side that once was ocean. And the question is, and if you wrap 2,000 square miles, which is roughly the state of Delaware, if you wrap that around New Orleans, we don't need any levees. So the question is, how did that sediment, how did what was once land not all marsh, some of it's solid land again. How did that melt into the ocean? And that is the key as to why the federal government in the nation, it's a national responsibility, because benefits that have accrued to the rest of the nation are the cause of what has become our vulnerability. New Orleans used to be relatively safe from hurricanes. It was always vulnerable to surge coming out of the lake, yes, but the rest of the city and the rest of this region was quite safe, and even that surge was somewhat cut down by barrier islands. And there are a number of things that have caused the erosion of sediment. The first thing was the fact that for the benefit of shipping, commerce on the river, and remember at one time the Mississippi River served as a combination fiber optic cable, you could throw in TV signals, roads, railroads, obviously shipping, any means of communication that you care to define. The Mississippi River at one point functioned as that, tying the entire central region of the country together. And when I say Mississippi River, I honestly, what in my mind is not a straight line that goes from Minnesota to the Gulf. I immediately think of this cone, it's like a funnel that stretches from almost Buffalo, New York, Olean, New York, and to the Continental Divide and the Rockies. That when I was researching the book, I actually managed to legitimately deduct, or not, put in as an expense, a trip I took to Taos, New Mexico, to go to the headwaters of the Canadian River. You could just as easily say Taos, New Mexico is a starting point in the Mississippi River, or someplace in Montana, or Olean, New York, or 50 miles east into North Carolina, as you could say Lake Itasca, Minnesota. So I really think of this enormous cone, and there is a map in the book with the river's drainage basin. It's the third largest drainage basin in the world. It's only like 0.001% smaller than the Congo. But the Amazon's a lot bigger. Anyway, to get back to the point,